Welcome back to Nordic Neanderthal. Today's video is going to be the start of a little mini-series on the formation of modern humans, and I'm going to give a very brief overview of the archaic hominins which we come from and which we are mixed with. So, you can see this map to start off with, and this map shows that archaic African hominids may have been present in the whole of Africa. I'll come to that in a sec. Neanderthals, you can see the range from Europe to the north of Eurasia to central Eurasia. Denisova lived further over to the east of the Neanderthal range. Denisova is a cousin of Neanderthal. It looks quite different, but it's got the same genetic root. They're both Heidelbergensis offshoots, and Heidelbergensis was present in Europe, and then it split off into Denisova and Neanderthal, and they wandered east. As you can see, the Denisovan admixture is actually highest in Australasians, and that's an interesting point. It's high in Asians as well. Neanderthal is highest in Europeans and Amerindians, and it's also present at low quantities in Asia. With regards to the African hominids, I don't think that the archaic African with which Africans are admixed it was present in all of Africa. I think it was likely restricted to West Africa and Central Africa, and similar in type to the pygmids you find there today, who have quite an archaic type. Now on to some examples. First, there's a Homo erectus here, and Homo erectus is what all of these came from. Homo erectus is very short-skulled, very small-skulled. It's barely human. It's not human in the sense that a modern human is, whereas these other types have much larger skulls. They have larger skulls in some cases than modern humans, for example, Neanderthal. Right, on to Homo naledi. So Homo naledi is the archaic African that Africans may be mixed with. Something like that. We don't know whether it was naledi, we don't know whether it was another. It's an unidentified archaic hominid. Whereas we know with Europeans that they're mixed with Neanderthals, and with Asians and Australasians, Denisovan. The Australasians also have Neanderthal admixture. These are two other African skulls, what I'll show next. This one is the Boskop skull, and the Boskop skull is thought to be similar in type to the Khoisan. The Khoisan have higher archaic admixture, but it's a more progressive looking archaic than Negroid Africans, and they are presumed to have been descended from these Boskopids. Boskop had a very large skull. They did ceremonial burial very early on, so it was a very advanced human for the time and place. It's found in South Africa. This one here is the Hofmeyr skull, also found in South Africa. The Hofmeyr skull is actually more similar in type to Paleolithic Europeans than to any sub-Saharan Africans, though it's a sub-Saharan archaic African find. But as I say, it's not the archaic African that Negroids are mixed with, because it's similar in type to Mesolithic Europeans. It's to Paleolithic Europeans even. Now we move on to the Neanderthal, and the Neanderthal, as you can see, it's a very big skull, very long skull, quite shallow skull, but very long skull and fairly wide skull. Neanderthal was present throughout Europe and Central Asia. It had various races or subspecies, which I might come back to at some point, if I can find the map to study. And the Western Neanderthal displaced the Caucasian Neanderthal. The Western Neanderthal survived the longest. It survived in Iberia into relatively modern times. Now on to Denisovan. You can see this skull looks very different to the Neanderthal skull, but Denisovan, as I say, is a cousin of the Neanderthal. Heidelbergensis split off from Homo sapiens. One more thing to note about this map is that there were multiple Neanderthal admixtures. So it seems from looking at studies in genetics that most Neanderthal DNA actually comes not from the longest lived Western Neanderthal, but from the Eurasian Neanderthal. So that's an interesting point to note. If you look at the second Neanderthal mixture on this map, that's with the Eurasian Neanderthal further along the human migration than the original admixture in the Middle East. That's all for now. I'll make another video where I'll talk about the migrations in more detail, talk about paternal lineage, Y-DNA, and maternal lineage, mtDNA. Thanks. Ciao.